All right, so I'm here interviewing Jazmin. Jazmin, do you mind telling me a little bit about yourself, where you studied abroad, what you majored in? You go, girl. You just introduced
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely. So yeah, of course, graduated Cal State Fullerton. I studied human resource management and I studied abroad in England, which was amazing. I studied at Coventry University, and apparently I was the first student to actually study abroad at that particular university in the UK. So it was really cool being able to kind of help the study abroad program kind of navigate like what classes meant what at Cal State Fullerton compared to Coventry University's like curriculum and stuff. So that was really interesting to be a part of. And then I don't know, just more about me. I mean, currently I work at Riot, so it's great.
All right.
Uh, yeah, I work
Oh,
at
girl, let's go.
I love it. I'm a recruiting coordinator, but I just got accepted a full-time role as an associate content producer. So
Good for
really excited about
you.
that. Thank you. Really excited
Yeah.
about that. Kind of different from HR in so many ways, but also HR is kind of what got me here in the first place. So really excited about that.
That's awesome. I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
have a great time doing that. I was interested though. You said you studied abroad at Coventry. We actually did an event with Coventry University earlier this year, which is
That's
so
cool.
funny. It's so funny. But you saying that you're the first group, you were in the first group of students to study abroad at Coventry, right? From Fullerton?
I was the only student. There was supposed to be another person that went with me.
Uh-huh.
However, she researched a lot of stuff and was kind of like terrified to go. So she kind of pulled out of process. And so it was me by myself. I was kind of afraid, but my dad was like, you know what? I don't want you to be scared going abroad. So he took off as well for the first, like, oh God, I think for the first like 11 or 12 days. And he was just with me for all those 12 days, making sure I'm getting familiarized with the place and everything like that. So my dad was a huge champion,
Aw,
champion for that. But yeah,
that's so nice. I'm sure that was like kind of stressful at the same time, having to come back and like figure out, oh my gosh, do I get these units? Do I get these units? Having a
yes.
guideline there was probably a little stressful for you at times.
Yeah, it was. And the study abroad program, or sorry, the study abroad department really helped me figure out like what classes over there would translate to, my credits at Cal State Fullerton. And oh God, I can't even remember all the names of the people that helped me with that process. It's so many. I was provided with like Coventry University gave me an entire categorical book, if you will, of all the classes that they take that aligns with HR or like business in general. And then I had to comb through each one and like, okay, this sounds like it could be international business. So I'm just gonna highlight this and take it back to to the study abroad
You're like,
program.
please.
Like, oh, cross fingers, is this like kind of in the ballpark where I could get credit? So it was definitely like they helped me a lot in determining which classes in particular. When I was over there, I studied marketing, international business, and business management, which over there is completely different than marketing or international business. And that translated over to a lot of the other business administration classes that I did not take. So that was like really cool. And those classes were amazing and fun and kind of strange how the classes were ran compared to Cal State Fullerton. So
It's funny how like when you go somewhere else and you go to like a different school system per se, how different it can be from what you're used to, right?
yes. One in particular was really interesting. My international business professor and my marketing professor, they would offer to have drinks with you after class if you want to like follow up and have any other questions that's outside of class or even about class, like, oh yeah, we could discuss it over a pint, and you're like, oh, that is crazy.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh, you just reminded me because We did something similar in my class, but it was at the end of the semester. I think yours was more casual than mine because I studied abroad in Tokyo. And
Wow.
yeah, I know. But my professor at the end, she brought her class to like a Japanese bar. And we all drank and we ate food together, and it was so funny to me because I would have never done that here. But that's probably what they offered you to do like all the time. So that's so funny. Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
so crazy. It's so crazy. But I mean, I took them up on the offer just to build those connections, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I just learned such amazing things about them that had nothing to do with like school. One of my marketing professors, his name was David, and like came from the Middle East, from like a poor family, and like hearing his journey of how he got involved in education and how he moved to the UK. It was just like, this is nice. That I would never be able to have these conversations, you know,
Hmm.
back in the US, because we're very strict on, you know, having that professional like relationship with student and professor. And so yeah, it was very cool. Very, very, very cool to be a part of.
That sounds so cool. I love how different your experience can be, depending where you go. So,
Yeah.
what inspired you to study abroad in the first place, actually?
So I've always been into travel. And at the time, I was kind of going through a very emotional time with having confidence in myself, and a lot of things happened. And my dad argued with my mom a lot because I brought it up and was like, you know, I think I want to travel, and I want to like be somewhere else that's not here. And my mom was very, very much against that. She was like, no, my baby's safe at home, etc. But my dad was like, no, like she needs to go and experience the world, you know? And I was like, yeah, I want to see what else is out there. Like besides America, America's great, but you know, I want to see what else is out there in the world. I want to experience other cultures. I want to eat different foods. I just want to like immerse myself in somewhere else. And so that's what really inspired me to go. The hard times, but also just the hunger for wanting to learn more about other cultures, and be a part of a different culture than America.
I totally I resonated with so many things that you said because I mean those are some of the very reasons why I wanted to study abroad too. I think that your parents' relationship is so representative of so many other situations with other students who want to study abroad too, right? Like
Yeah.
some parents are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't let my kid go. Like I don't trust anybody." And then, you have other parents who are like, "No, you need to get out there and, you have to experience something for yourself." So it's good that you still had, your dad to kind of push for you and push for what you wanted to
Yeah.
do. Like I can
Yeah.
understand, I'm sure many people would be able to understand why your mom felt that way, but it's great that, your dad even went with you like you said earlier and really wanted, you can tell he really really wanted you to just get into it, and
Yeah.
yeah. That's so great. That's so cool. So then do you have any like tips or advice on what you would tell to students who might be afraid of studying abroad?
First advice is don't be.
There you go.
But I want to say, if you are afraid, any students that are afraid, it helped me to research like a lot. It helped me to research the do's and don'ts of the country. What's different in that country compared to US? Are there certain things that I shouldn't say there that's okay to say here, and vice versa? Learning about, you know, all the classes, if they are interested. I felt like that was another reason why I was very interested in Coventry University specifically, because a lot of their classes and what you would study was very, it was the same in the sense of, you know, for an example, marketing was marketing. But when getting like the syllabus for those and learn and seeing how, oh my gosh, like you're going to do hands-on project work and meeting like business people who are at all these different UK companies. It just like it gave me a bit of like I'm actually really excited for these classes. That was another thing. And then also I want to say, just think about the fact that when you are studying abroad, you have access to go to other countries. I know for at Coventry, we had 3 weeks like it was 2 weeks of spring break, and then they give a week for studying tests. And I made sure to study like way beforehand so I could utilize like the whole 3 weeks to travel. And it's like, oh, it's so much cheaper to go from like the UK to Italy and Italy to Spain. And it's like, even if you are afraid, just know like, man, when you get there, those fears will, I mean, they will genuinely just, they'll wash away because you'll have access to do so many things. And even if it's not the UK and they wanted to study abroad in, I don't know, like Italy or Portugal, it's like, oh, you could take a cute little plane ride that's maybe like an hour tops, and you could be in Spain, you could be in Madrid, you could be in Greece, and it's amazing because then in this one little like 3 weeks, at least for me, I was able to still immerse myself in so many other cultures. Like it wasn't just England in those 3 weeks. I went to Italy, I went to Portugal, I went to Greece, I went to Spain. Just being able to experience all that. It's like you don't get that chance here in America. I mean, you can, of course, travel abroad, but it won't be nearly as cheap as it was doing that over there. So I will say definitely take that into consideration for any people that are afraid to travel. And then also too, again, I cannot stress enough, like educate yourself on the region, learn about any safe spaces or any places that maybe you shouldn't visit. And I didn't necessarily run to that, even though, you know, me being an African American person, I felt relatively safe in the UK. But I did do some research about Italy and Spain and everything like that, just to be on the safe side. And like, okay, is like our African Americans accepted here, or is there, you know, maybe like a racist component that I need to be aware of when I do interact wherever the country is? And so definitely doing research. I cannot stress that enough. I feel like by me researching the university that I wanted to go to, as well as the surrounding areas, it really eased my fear as well about studying abroad, because I did hear a lot of African Americans, some of their stories, it just being really difficult sometimes to make friends or anything like that because they feel this sort of racial tension. But I feel if you do enough research and you come with kind of an open mind and you really get involved in a lot of Erasmus programs that they have, which is essentially anyone that's studying abroad there. They have programs and they have like welcoming parties or anything like that. Like that's what really helped me as well get really immersed and feel really comfortable. I went to orientation and I met she's now literally like the greatest friend I have ever. And she's from Finland. And we literally keep in contact. She flew all the way out here for like my graduation. And I'm going to go over there this year to like see her. So, you know, just coming with that open mind, being friendly, but also making sure that you don't feel excluded because you are African American. One thing I will note as well, that I guess I'm slightly going off on a tangent, but I do think it's slightly important. Ironically enough, as an African American, I felt more unwelcomed by the Africans that were in the UK. A lot of them didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to be friends with me. But the Italian friends that I made, the German friends that I made, all of them were really welcoming. And ironically, it was the Africans that were not so welcoming. And so I did want to make sure that I drive that point home, because I know that, especially from research that some African Americans might read, and maybe they're seeing that, you know, they had a lot of bad situations with maybe other races of people. My experience personally was like the only bad experiences that I had were actually people that looked like me, which was kind of it was a shock to me, because I thought it would be the other way around, especially from, again, some of the things that I myself researched and studied and everything. And I was like, whew, okay, I'm going to prep myself. And it ended up being the complete opposite. And so I want to say I had to ask one of the African, he's Nigerian guy, but he kind of broke it down for me as to why that might be. And it was kind of shocking, kind of hurtful, but relatively, I was like, well, that's all right then. If they don't want to be friends with me, then I'm cool. I got all these friends here that I made. So also kind of having that tough skin and understanding that no matter where you go, there will always be someone that may have a problem with you. But as long as you are really kind and compassionate and open to everyone, like you will come out of this study abroad experience like, oh my gosh, just being so enriched and making all these friends and all of these beautiful, amazing places that it won't matter that someone didn't talk to you. So I definitely want to stress that and give that feedback as well.
I feel that. It's interesting that you say that because as you talk, I also go back on my own experiences and, I see that. And it's important, of course, do your research, but it's also important, you take things with a grain of salt as well. Because somebody's personal experience, it doesn't mean that it's going to translate over to you as well. And I know that going over to a country where nobody looks like me, I had my own concerns as well. But it turned out all of those worries that I had, all the things I found from the research, the issues I had were completely separate. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
somewhat related, but I was also kind of shocked. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about how, you did all this research, you wanted to make sure you're prepared, you're safe, and then you get there and you make friends with all these cool people. And then you're like, wait, aren't we supposed to be friends too? You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
funny, huh? Um,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, but I think that it's all really good advice. I know you said that you think you went off on a tangent, but everything you said is true, and I think really important for other people to hear when they also go and study abroad because it's relevant. It's so true for everything, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I was gonna ask you, I wanted to know what you thought about the custom differences between the UK and the US. Like, what was like the most shocking thing for you to get used to between the two?
Oh, that is a really good question. I want to still say it was definitely the fact that they drive on the other side of the road.
Re-
Definitely.
Do they?
Definitely got to me. I was like, oh my gosh. Like every time I would look in one direction, I'm like, oh wait, they're actually coming from this direction now. Forgive me. Like it was still something that was slightly hard to get used to, even though I was there for like 3 or 4 months. Like it was still really difficult for me for me to get over. Also, circling back to the teacher thing, that was a huge culture shock to me that I thought was actually really cool. But I was like, oh my God, like I can actually have a beer with my teacher after school. Like that's so cool. And like doubt him and talk. And like that was so cool to me. What I'm trying to think if there's anything else besides those two, because those were definitely like culture shock.
While you're thinking, just so you can get your brain in motion, like I know what you mean, but with the operating on the oh my god, I can't talk right now. Operating on the opposite side of the road. I know you say like, oh, I've been there for 4 months. I should be used to it. Girl, you live here for how long? You don't even feel bad about it. Don't even feel bad about it. I'm sure it's just like you wake up another day, you're like, oh, I guess it's on the left side today. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But the
Oh,
other thing that I found that was, I loved it so much and I tried to reenact it when I came back. Like, I wanted my life to be like that again. Was you can literally, like, public transportation is amazing. The train system is amazing. Oh, I felt so safe on a train. And I cannot say that as far as LA County is concerned. I can't say that I feel safe on an LA County train, but wow, I felt so safe in the UK going anywhere by train. Like, wow.
bet
And
you
then
came back and then you're like, where's the train here? Where's the where's
exactly,
where's the good public transportation? Like, excuse me,
exactly.
sir, government, hello. You know?
Exactly. Oh my god. And then also it was the beauty of the fact that you could walk everywhere. And I mean, where I was, my uni was 15 minutes walking distance to the train station. I mean, when I tell you, I lost so much weight just walking everywhere and just being like, "Oh, what is that building?" And, "Oh, what's that?" And like, but it was really cool that everything was in walking distance, and I seriously tried to come back and reenact that in my life, and that was not happening in LA, but still, like, I tried, I gave it the good old college try.
I feel you tried your best. That's what matters. You tried to implement it back here.
Exactly. I will say that was a culture shock for me because we're so used to driving everywhere.
Hmm.
And so I was like, "Oh my God, it's only how far? 15 minutes walking? What? Oh my God, that's so cool. Let's go." you
You're
know?
like, I don't even need the car. Yeah, that was when I studied abroad too. My favorite thing, I came back and I ranted about it, girl. I ranted about it. I was like, where is the good public transportation? I could take the train anywhere I want. I could take the bus anywhere I want. I can walk around. I could lose weight walking around. And it's healthy for you. And I was like, oh, I was so sad when I came back. I'm like, guess I'm gonna be a lump again on my chair and drive everywhere.
Oh my God.
I know. I was like, I'm ready for some change over here. I'm about to go up to, the city and be like, hi, excuse me, I have a great idea.
Right.
I'm sure like other people too. I didn't even know that about the UK though, that they have great public transportation and everything's walking distance. That is, listen, like America, get on it, okay?
I
Like
know, like,
LA,
what is
get on it.
happening? Like, what is happening, America? Like, what is happening?
I
Like, oh my
know.
God. Oh,
Oh my God, that's so
it was
funny.
amazing. It was
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I'm same boat as you, girl, same boat. So I know you kind of already touched on like how people perceived you, but was there any other experiences you had or like memories you want to talk about in terms of how you were generally perceived while you were studying abroad in the UK?
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, I did touch on it briefly from the African community not being accepting of me. Ironically enough, it was also some funny moments where people were just perceiving me like, "Oh my God, you're so American and you guys don't even speak proper English."
Oh
And
no.
that was like the running joke of every single time I said something. Like one example that I could definitely provide. I was in the cafeteria and we were having dinner in the cafeteria, and I was literally arguing with my British friend Andrew about why they drive on the side of the road and it doesn't make sense. And he was like,
Oh
"You're American. You don't understand." And I was like, "No."
oh,
I'm like,
okay.
it was so funny. But it's been like the running joke, like while I was there, that everyone just perceived me as like, "Okay, you're like co-British, but you're not like your English isn't real." It's like, okay. Wow.
You're like, then what is my English, please?
Yeah, what is my English,
Who am I?
Like they would always make fun of me because I would spell color without a U, and that would be a really funny thing that they would always like give me crap about.
When you
The
were
fact
like doing, because you said you did marketing classes, so I'm assuming you had to make presentations and like,
I
you know,
did.
was that a problem for you to get used to? Did you have to type in like words like color with like a U or like
Yes,
no?
yes, and it's so funny because I remember I first did like a rough presentation for my teacher, and she was like, "Oh, I forgot you're American. That's not how you spell color." And I was like, "That is how you
You're like, what do you mean? Like, let me look it up on my American Google and I will give you the right answer.
Yeah, so it was funny. It was so funny.
Uh,
Trying to make sure that I spell almost every word like the British way and not the
mhm.
American way. So it was a lot of fun going over presentations and papers with some of my classmates that I had, because they would be like, "Jazmin, the you." I'm like, "Oh, I forgot. Sorry."
Do you do like when you came back, do you find yourself doing it now? Do you like accidentally
No.
put use in? No, you're like good
No.
riddance.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
like goodbye.
God. Yeah,
Goodbye. You. I
I'm
don't want
done.
to ever see you in the word color.
You don't belong there. That's so funny. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I
But
can
other than
imagine,
that,
man.
I mean, yeah, other than that, I wasn't perceived any differently, other than the African community perceiving me as like something different. Everyone else just gave me crap about American things and not using proper English. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I feel it, girl. I feel it. It's so funny how like when you go abroad, you become that representation for wherever you're from. I mean, if it was the same
Yeah.
for my friend and I, because we studied abroad together and we were the Americans. And they're like, wow, I didn't expect like Americans to be like this, my friend from Belgium. And I was like, what do you think I do? Like I'm just like you. I just, I'm like an average college student. I just, I watch a lot of TV, I sleep a lot. I like to eat good food. We're more alike than you think. you know?
I get that.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
so
that.
funny because we're so much more similar than we think we are. And
Mhm.
when you have that open mind, like you were talking about earlier, when you have that open mindset to like see other people, see other different cultures, you can kind of dive deeper into like our similarities, our differences as well, but we're all here.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. And you did touch on something too that reminded me. There was a situation, but it was very small and minute. It was just like a moment to educate this person. They were someone in my class, but I don't know their name. I don't even remember. But
Pay them no
they
mind.
paid them no mind. Yeah, because I mean the question was it was very much a stereotypical question, but it was asked in like kind of a like, is that correct? Am I wrong? Like, can you educate me? And she posed the question of, are all African Americans like, are they all criminals like the American media says they are? And she brought out like these list of factual evidence, if you will, like, the reports from the FBI that I think I've heard at least 25,000 times about us being such a small percentage of the population, but committing like, majority of the crimes in America and stuff like that. And I just kind of addressed each one with like, I mean, yes, like statistically speaking, that might be accurate, but that report also doesn't discuss the environments that a lot of my people come from. I didn't come from that environment, but that data kind of doesn't do like African Americans justice. A lot of them, a lot of my people come from not good communities. And I was like, if you want to genuinely research possibly how we got to this point, you should look up Jim Crow, you should look up gerrymandering, you should look up all these things, because it's not like Black people wanted to be there. It's not like it was almost placed on us to like be in those groups and be in that place. And so she was like, oh, well, it's just because, we always see on media, like, and in movies and stuff, it's mostly like the African Americans are the bad guys, or they're the ones doing crimes, selling drugs, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, that's true. I was like, but genuinely, like, the media doesn't represent all of us. Like, I'm here. I haven't committed a crime. I don't go around murdering people. I just want to eat some ramen and go home. Like,
I feel it.
and
I feel it.
and I was like, and most of us are genuinely like that. We are no different from anyone else. I was like, murder, crime, it doesn't have a skin tone. Every race does it.
Mhm.
It's just not everyone in that race commits crimes. Just like not every Black person will commit a crime or be a part of a gang or rob somebody. And so from having that conversation, she did do her research, which I wasn't expecting her to actually do. And she had like, oh, wow, okay, I had no idea. And I was like, right, like, of course the media isn't going to be like, but let's see how they got here,
Right?
and so I was like, it's like, I appreciate you though. I told her I did appreciate her coming to me with that question, so I can provide that sense of education. And I will say that sometimes they don't mean it offensively, even though it could be taken that way. But I always looked at it as like an opportunity to correct it and like educate them on, this is why, this is who we are as people. Like, we are great individuals, and I mean, and again, use that as a learning opportunity. So I will say, like, going back to the other question about tips and stuff, is some people may come to you with questions, and depending on how they say it, of course, you don't necessarily, like, you shouldn't necessarily take offense to it, but maybe also use that to educate, because a lot of people in the UK, there's not many African Americans. There are a lot of African people there, but because a lot of them also have the same misconception about African Americans, it's really important for like African Americans to step in and educate when they can about us or about something that, like a stereotype, and address it, et cetera, et cetera. But do it in a not like a mean way, but just do it in like a, like an educational way. I see where you got that from, but let me tell you what the answer is.
I feel that. And like that's so mature of you to like handle that in that way, because I'm sure sometimes people too, when they hear the same questions like that over and over. I mean, obviously she did her research, right? Or at least
Mhm.
she tried to do like the right research. But I'm sure that you guys might get those kinds of questions often, and maybe it doesn't come from a place of wanting to learn. And
Yeah.
I can understand if you would be upset that somebody would continually ask you, are you a good person, because of your skin tone? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's great that you can handle it so maturely, and just want to educate them in the end, because that's what they need, is that interaction, that positive interaction with someone who just wants to help them better understand. So I
Yeah.
good for you. I think that's, even if it was like a more positive than negative interaction necessarily, I still think that that's really important, that you can show people in that way. And we need more people like that who just want to talk to each other, because like that's how we get things
Yeah.
worked out. We just talk to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah. I always think that people mean good, and I think that sometimes we forget that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Yeah.
gotta put it in your brain and do your best.
Exactly.
Right? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, I'll go ahead and finish up with one more question, because I think we're reaching a little bit of a length here, as much as I love the conversation. It's actually really fun. I want to know, has studying abroad changed the way you interact with others? Like after coming back, did you change anything about the way how you talk to other people or interact with other people?
That's actually like a really good question, because I think I've always genuinely been an open-minded person. Like I've always loved having friends of all different cultures and just learning from them. So when I came back, if anything, I think I just felt more fulfilled because I was finally able to experience another culture. And if anything, I think the only difference in how I was like back then compared to now is I just want to keep traveling. I just want to keep traveling. And I'm always telling people, like my cousins and my nieces and nephews, even though none of them have even thought about college, but I just like, I've been ingraining in their head, travel abroad, like,
Put in the seed, put in the
but
seed,
now,
you know?
yeah, if anything, I've just
um,
been more of an advocate for studying abroad, because I really think it brought me out of an emotional state of mind that I was in. And really, when I got back on American soil, I felt so fulfilled, a clear head. And I just wanted everyone to like experience other cultures, because I think if anything, it also taught me that a lot of people, especially in the African American community, like we do not travel a lot. And I know a lot of it is like an economic factor. Some of it could be even a social factor, but it's like, that's why I find it so important. And I've instilled it in all of my family, like travel though, see the world. This world is so vast, and there's so many cultures that you can learn from, so many good food that you can try. Just, it's so enriching and empowering. And you feel as if, I know for sure for me, I guess this would be another like answer to the question, but I felt like I could better connect with other people, because now I've gone there, I've experienced like, oh, okay. So now I know when I meet a British person, I can use this lingo, or I have lots of things to talk about, and we could build this personal connection. And that's something that gets lost if you don't travel abroad and if you don't experience those things for yourself. And so I want to say that's genuinely what I brought back: fulfillment, clarity, like much better emotionally, and also just became like a huge advocate for traveling abroad, so much so that my mom gets annoyed because all I want to do is travel.
Bring her with you. Bring her with you.
I know. I always try to get her, but she's so like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. So
You gotta start small. You gotta like give her some ramen, for example. You gotta give her like some food from the place, and then you like, now imagine how much better it would taste if you go there with me, mom. That's how you sell them.
literally,
That's how you sell them.
literally. And you know what? The crazy thing is, it was like pulling teeth trying to get her to try ramen, and she loves ramen now. And I'm like, so let's go to Japan. No, I don't want to go. Like, oh God.
You're like, mom, I know you want to go to Japan. We're going to Japan right now. Okay, let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I want to say
Um,
thank you so much for coming to interview. And
yeah.
yeah, we really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say before I put it on pause?
No, I think I said it all.
I think you hit every point. I think you did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.